So we've looked at the general unspoken rules about living in Nigeria. So today, let's talk about the things you should know about food in Nigeria.
The GP will see you now.
If you haven't seen this face before, my name is Laura, Kenyan, living and thriving in Lagos, Nigeria. But if you've seen it before and you are an OG subscriber, it's good to have you back. The first thing you should know is that there will be pepper. Nigerian food is very peppery. Pretty much everything here will be peppery. Now, there's pepper levels, and then there is Nigerian pepper levels. Listen, if you don't eat pepper, you're going to have it quite rough here because pretty much everything is peppery. 90% of the food in most eateries will be peppery. So if you're not a fan of pepper, you'll have quite a bit of trouble. Of course, you could always make special orders and tell them to reduce the amount of pepper in your food, and I've tried that before, but even the reduced amount will still be quite peppery by regular standards. So just stay knowing that food here will be peppery. Pepper is the way of life here. Number 2, foodstuff is sold in bulk. I talked about this in the last video, so I went to the depths of it, but just know that tomatoes, onions, bananas, plantains, apples, fruits, everything is sold in bulk. So you cannot just buy one piece of these items. You have to buy a bunch of them, and they are sold like that. So if you're a person like me from a country where you can buy one piece of things, just know that when you come to Nigeria, that's not the case. Another thing you should know is that Nigerian food has a lot of spice and a lot of variety. So there's over 500 different tribes in Nigeria, even though the 3 main ones are Igbo, Yoruba, and Hausa. But all of these tribes have their own special foods, and so you can see why there's so much variety in the food. So if it comes to swallows, then there is pounded yam, semo, eba. There's so much variety, and then there's so many soups, so many stews, so many swallows that even me that has been here for a year has not even eaten everything there is to eat. And the food is very spicy because Nigerians like to spice their food and add in a lot of nice things, which now I understand why when Nigerians go to other countries, they prefer to find places that sell Nigerian food, because not every country will have food as spicy or with that kind of variety. So, spice, variety, open up yourself and try out different things when you come to Nigeria because you will love the experience. Another thing is that small chops play a huge role in parties. Small chops are pretty much bitings and snacks that are given to guests at parties. So weddings, funerals, engagement parties, baby naming ceremonies, house dedications, any kind of party will probably have small chops, aside from the actual meals of the day. So it can comprise of samosas, puff-puff, veggie rolls, snail, or an assortment of all of these things. And it's really nice because there's a session where they're serving small chops, which I always look forward to because I like puff-puff. Something else, if you're a fan of milk, evaporated milk is more widely used than liquid milk, especially in Lagos. I think it has something to do with the weather or the climatic conditions, but you will find that the milk section of the store will have more options for powdered milk compared to liquid milk. So powdered milk is more widely used compared to liquid milk. Again, it depends on where you're shopping from really, but what I've found is that people here use more of powdered milk than liquid milk. And it took me a while to get used to it because in Kenya we are used to liquid milk. And when I was little, I had a bad experience with powdered milk, so it's something that I just did not want anything to do with. But when I moved to Nigeria, I decided to give it a chance, and now I like it. I have my cereal with powdered milk. If I'm cooking something that requires milk, I'll just quickly mix it up. Also, it's very easy to find compared to liquid milk. If I go to my shop outside my house, the chances of me finding powdered milk are much higher than me finding liquid milk. at the shop. Ah, yes. Now, this is something that a lot of people from other countries kind of frown upon, but in Nigeria, soups and stews typically use an assortment of meat together. So you will find that soup contains beef, goat, fish, stockfish cooked together in that soup, and it is fantastic. Before I tasted it, I was also like, I don't think I would enjoy that. But let me tell you, it is legit. It tastes so good. Like, you won't even be able to tell, oh, now they are mixing together and they've amalgamated and now it has spoiled the whole taste of the meat or the fish. It is beautiful. Just eating to the soup and tasting the different flavors of different proteins is amazing. It's something that I only got to learn of in Nigeria, and now I cook all my soups like that. So assorted meat is quite a big thing when cooking Nigerian dishes, which brings me to the next point, and this is going to be quite debatable and relative, but I have personally found that most soups will pretty much start with the same base. So you will have your palm oil, then you will fry your onions, then add your pepper mix, then your beef or your assortment of proteins, and then things start to go like that from there. So if you're making egusi, then you'll add your egusi. If you're making your oha soup, then you'll add your oha leaf. If you're making your edikaikong, then you'll add your water leaf, and so on and so forth. So what I like to do is I make 3 different soups at the same time. So typically I'll make oha, egusi, and edikaikong at the same time. And speaking of meats, I think you already know that Nigerian meats are cut in very huge chunks. So instead of having small pieces of meat in your food, there's large chunks where you just get one large piece of meat and then that's it with your meal. At first, when I would go to the market, I would tell the meat guy to cut it into small pieces for me so that I can have them in the regular sizes that I'm used to. But now I just let him do his thing. If he wants to cut them big, if he wants to cut them medium, if he wants to cut them small, that's totally fine by me. In the same line of meat, when you go to eat out, every piece of meat is priced. Every piece of meat adds to your bill. Every piece of meat is priced separately. So if you want 1 piece of meat, then it has its cost. If you want 2, then it's, it increases. It's not like Kenya where, I want beef stew, and then they'll just put the small chunks of meat depending on the portion that you want. Here, every piece of meat counts and is charged, which makes sense because they are so big, and so if you get 1 chunk of meat like that, then it works just the same as getting small pieces of meat. This is a fun one. There's a thing called Sunday rice. A lot of households will have white rice and stew on Sunday afternoon after church. I've learned that this is kind of the culture, kind of how everyone was brought up, so it just goes without saying that most households will cook white rice and stew for lunch on Sunday, so they call it Sunday rice. If you visit someone on Sunday afternoon, the chances are very high that you'll probably have rice served to you for lunch. So Sunday rice is a thing. Also, a lot of dishes will be cooked with crayfish. Crayfish, locust beans, and maggi are a huge chunk of Nigerian cooking. That if you're interested in getting into Nigerian cooking, you should probably look into those ingredients, especially crayfish. Crayfish is huge in Nigerian kitchens. It is huge, very big. And until I came to Nigeria, I didn't even know what crayfish is, but now that I'm here, I cook with it. I love the flavor that it adds to the food, and it's amazing. Another interesting thing, and this is only specific to KFC, in Kenya, streetwise 2, for example, is fries and 2 pieces of chicken. But in Nigeria, streetwise 2 is rice and 2 pieces of chicken. So Nigerians are not really into fries and fast food like that. In Kenya, fast food refers to chips, burgers, all those kinds of things. But fast food in Nigeria actually comprises of rice, different types of rice, which is quite healthy in my opinion. But it was strange for me to walk into KFC and then order for streetwise 2 and get rice and chicken, because my mind just automatically went to fries. So I know that all these franchises always customize their menus based on countries. So I've had people say that the Fanta in Africa tastes different from the Fanta in the UK or the US, and I think it's the same for KFC and all these other fast food joints that you'll find in Nigeria. And now that I'm talking about international franchises, if you're interested in international cuisines, then you will probably find them on the island, and this is in Lagos. The island is where you will pretty much find Chinese, Lebanese, Indian, all those kinds of different intercontinental cuisines you'll probably find on the island. The mainland, you could find some, but if you're specifically looking for a specific type of cuisine, then the island is probably the best bet. Finally, you will probably find brands that you know under different names. For example, there's the juice called 5 Alive in Nigeria. In Kenya, the same juice goes by the name Minute Maid, and I know that is also the name in different parts of the country. Dasani here goes by the name Everwater. So it's very interesting to see the same taste of things, but just under different names. So if you're a foreigner, you don't really feel like you're too far away from home because these things are familiar, just under different names. And again, it's interesting to see how brands and companies tailor their products for every market. And the same goes for Indomie as well. The variety of Indomie noodles that are in Nigeria just blow my mind, because in Kenya we just have like maybe 2 varieties, but in Nigeria there's so many, and it's just not Indomie. There's so many different varieties of noodles, and I'm just like, wow, maybe I should do a video just dedicated to Indomie, yeah? Because there's so many that I want to try out, and I want to let you know which ones I think tastes the best and which ones not so much. Let me know if it's something you'd be interested to see, just a video about trying out different types of Indomie noodles available in Nigeria. And now for the big question, is fufu really worth the hype? Well, I haven't really had fufu yet. I know, it's the one thing that everybody asks me about, whether it's nice, whether it tastes good. I don't know. I haven't tasted it. I don't really have a concrete reason. I think I just haven't had the perfect opportunity to try that. I also have not tried amala or ewedu. I haven't. But this is the year. Alright, this is where I sign out. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you missed the last video about the general rules of life in Nigeria, please check it out. I will see you in the next video. Bye! I'm having it. So good.